Hi everyone, this is Sabrina. Welcome to the S Factor Studio. In a previous video, I shared how this die saved me a lot of time and frustration. If you're interested in seeing how this die works, I will link the prior video to the end of this one. But as I was making these favor bags, that's what this is, it dawned on me that I could make the same type of bag without the die. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. All you need are 2 pieces of 5 1/4 by 6 1/2. However, you could also use your 6 by 6 papers. The flaps will just be smaller on the bottom, which I'll show in a minute. So you can also use 5 1/4 by 6 if you're going to use your 6 by 6 papers. So on the 5 1/4 side, I scored at 1/2 inch and then 1 1/4 and then 2. Then I rotate the paper, the cardstock, and I'm going to score at 7/8, but I'm only going to score up to this 3rd score mark. So this is on the 6 1/2 side. 7/8. I'm going to score that right up to that 3rd score mark. And then 1 3/8, and I'm going to score all the way across on that one. So that's 5, 1 2 3 4 5 score marks. So I'm not going to burnish all the score marks at first. I'm just going to do this bottom one and this first side one, and I'm folding it in. And I'm doing that because we're going to I'm cutting a couple of pieces away. And I think the light is catching it, but I did do it on a white piece of cardstock so you can see. So this is what we're cutting away. We're going to cut this tab away, and we're going to cut this bottom piece away so that what we're left with is a long tab and a short tab. This is what it looks like on the die. It's a long tab and a short tab. So this piece right here, I'm going to cut all the way up to that, the second, not the first one, the second score mark, and then just cut it away. And then on this one here, again, I'm going to cut all the way up to that second score line, and then this piece right here, is going to be cut away. And then I'm just going to miter the corners of this tab to remove, so there's not extra bulk. So I have this big tab and this small tab. And now I'll go ahead and I'll burnish the rest of these score lines. So this first one was folded in. The second one is going to be folded back. And I'm not going to go all the way, I'm letting frame, sorry. I'm not going to go all the way down to this tab. I'm just going to go right there to the score line. So I'm going to burnish there. It really doesn't make a difference if you do or not, because in the end this tab is going to be folded into the bottom of the favor bag. And then this last one, and there you have it. And so we're doing the same thing on both pieces of cardstock, and then we're going to adhere them together. So this piece here is the tab, and we're going to, this long side, we're going to go ahead and adhere it to the tab, to just inside of that score mark, because you want to be able to, of course, still fold it. And I'm using liquid adhesive because I always need wiggle room, but of course you can use double-sided tape. And I'm lining it up. And adhering it, I'm going to use my bone folder. This is very forgiving when you used pattern cardstock, because even if you're off just by a little bit, the pattern of the cardstock covers it up. I'm lining this one up. Okay, and then for the bottoms, you have your 4 flaps. I like to start with the larger flap just because it looks a little bit more seamless on the inside of the bag, but that's just a personal preference, so it really doesn't matter. You do what works for you. Oops. And then just adding my Alright, I'm going to place this down and put my bone folder on the inside to make sure everything adheres. Super quick and easy, and then I just kind of work the sides of the bag to the bottom. And I love this because I just let the cardstock do the work for me. Now, if you have a border punch, okay, this is my 6-inch. If you have a border punch, you can, after you score everything, you can use your border punch on the top portion of the bag. And I know there are punches and dies to create like this little handle here. So if you have that, you can do that here. I chose to do something a little bit different. But before I show that, I'm going to go ahead and do this on the 5 1/4 by 6 inches. And this is if you're using your 6 by 6 cardstock. So it's the same score marks. I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. On the 5 1/4 side, I'm scoring at 1/2 inch, 1 1/4, and 2. Okay, and so this is what I did just so that I would not have to readjust the measurements of my score marks. This is 6 inches. The original one was 6 1/2. Since I'm minus 1/2 inch, instead of going to the edge, instead of going all the way to the edge of my scoreboard, I'm going to go back 1/2 inch. And that just helped me so that I didn't have to do measurements. I don't really like to do measurements. So I know it's minus 1/2 inch. I moved it back 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to score at the same score marks. So I'm scoring at 7/8 only up to that 3rd score line. So 7/8. And then 1 3/8 all the way across. Now I'm not sure you can see it on this pattern, but the flap, this flap is shorter. It's shorter than, this is from the die, but it's the same idea. The flap is shorter. But I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing in terms of removing this bottom part and this side part. So I'm going to cut up to that second score line and remove this piece. And then again, up to the second score mark. And then this right here, the rest of this bottom piece. And then I'm going to miter the corners. And I'm going to finish burnishing these score marks. So the first one went in, the second one goes back. And then the last one, that third one, in. So we're creating, obviously, we're creating this side of the bag when we do that. And again, I'm going to adhere them. So this edge goes onto the tab. Okay, and so on the bottom, I said I usually like to start with the larger flap. However, I wouldn't do that here because it doesn't go all the way across, so I'm just going to start with my smaller flaps. And I went a little bit crazy. And I'm not sure if you can see all the way inside, but because there's a pattern on the inside as well, it doesn't look, it still looks pretty seamless because the pattern is overlapping. The cardstock, this cardstock is so pretty. And like I said, if you have the border punch, you would punch and you would use your other, this is like the die, you would use your other die or punch if you have that. What I chose to do instead was to just cut another 2 1/4 inch piece of, I used gold glitter cardstock and just put it over the edges of the bag. I like the contrast and I wanted something a little bit sparkly, and then I added eyelets and some chain for my handles. And of course you can at this point you can embellish any way that you want. You could use sentiments, you can use vinyl, you can use ephemera, change up your handles using different trims and different chains. I prefer clean and simple, but I also like giving it clean and simple because it gives the recipient the opportunity to reuse the favor bag and to dress it up however they want to. So I thought this was awesome. It's quick, it's easy, and it's pretty. This here was the one using the die, and you can see it's the same height. Maybe you can't see. Let me see right here. All right, so it's the same height, it's the same width. The dimensions of the favor bag are, we're looking at 3 1/4 by, what is that, 5, it looks like 5 1/16. So for me, it wasn't too tiny and it wasn't too big. It's the perfect size favor bag, but I like this size. So simple, easy, pretty. Let your cardstock do the work for you. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. God bless, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.